Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. So with that being said, the Muslim should give thanks to Allah, the Mighty and the Most High, every single day. Not just every day, but every prayer. And one of the authentic prophetic supplications and the end of the prayer is Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatika. Allah ibarik fik. That's every prayer. Every prayer. You can say that. That's at least 5 times a day. So we have no Thanksgiving day. There's no day in which we say we want to thank Allah extra or more. We do that on a daily basis, on an hourly basis. Right. What's important is, we've spoken many times before about Thanksgiving, the ruling on celebrating it, so on and so forth. If you come from a Muslim minority background, your grandmother's cooking a turkey, can you go over there, grab a plate, take some leftovers, can you eat the baked macaroni and cheese, so on and so forth. We spoke about that. So we don't repeat that right now. If there's anyone in the masjid here who has questions, then please feel free to ask your question if you have one. And if you don't, then we'll take them from online bi'idhnillahi ta'ala.
Real quick, can we eat from the food?
Allahu Akbar. Can we eat from the food? It lies no doubt. Anything pertaining to that holiday or that day or that celebration or enjoying those festivities should be avoided. Now there's a discussion with regards to taking a gift from a mushrik on a holiday. And there are narrations from some of the Sahaba with regards to accepting a gift from them on their holiday versus you giving the gift. Giving the gift, giving the food, of course, no. The other day I was asked a question. The brother says, can we give out turkeys to the poor days before Thanksgiving? Can we give sadaqah as turkeys before Thanksgiving? That's a problem. But if someone offers you food, they offer you a gift because of their holiday, it's not necessarily cut, clear, and dry to be prohibited. It's not necessarily what? Cut, clear, and dry. However, you going there. They bring it to you is one thing. Versus, I'm going to swing by at my grandmom's house late at night and grab the plate. That's a problem. Because you going to that house, you visiting that house on that day because of that celebration, it's a type of support and a type of celebration. If you say put it in the freezer for me, put it in the fridge, I'll get it after Fajr the next morning, it may be a different story. Huh? Maybe what?
But wouldn't that be kind of like finding a loophole? Like what the
There are loopholes.
Like
Sometimes there are loopholes. And of course, sometimes those loopholes are here. The scholars of Islam, they speak about this. Allah talks about Ashab al-Sabt. إِذْ تَأْتِيهِمْ حِيتَانُهُمْ. Allah says that the fish came to them on their Sabbath day. And the day in which they weren't practicing the Sabbath, they barely came. And what they did with their nets and collected the fish, so on and so forth. So that's an example of an impermissible loophole. Playing a game, sidestepping it. But there are other hadiths in which the Prophet ﷺ gave solutions to sticky problems. Buy this, then get that, then use the gold coins or the silver coins. So before we take the question, there are different times in which it's impermissible to find the loophole, for sure. And there are other times in which the loophole is a solution. It's a what? Solution. And the concept of the food, the day, the festivity, the holiday. The food is not on the holiday. You're not going there during the holiday. It's in the refrigerator. You go there the next day, the day after. Away from it. But we do not have the audacity and the boldness to say something that's haram and impermissible that's not clearly haram and impermissible. That's a major crime in Islam when we start doing that. But we use precaution. Ala inna li kulli malikin hima. Ala wa inna himallahi faman ittaqa shubuhat. Stay away from the doubtful things. And Allah knows best. Fadl, Shaykh.
As someone born in this country, African American tradition, most of our families, we are reverts. And I know that as a child, I had the relatives, they're drinking and they're, getting
Wow. Tight. Inshallah, we'll upload the audio bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Question says, KS from London, UK. Assalamu alaikum mufti. If the Muslims on the ground in Syria say they need men to help them in their jihad ad-dafa, does it become fard ayn on me to join them with my wife and or life? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Scholars of Islam have explained the rulings of al-jihad. When jihad is fard ayn and when it is fard kifaya. When it is an option to go out and fight, and when it is binding to go out and fight, without seeking the permission of your parents, without paying your debts, you have to go out and fight. So therefore, in Syria or other parts of the world in which there's fighting, there's killing, Muslim blood is being spilled, unfortunately, sometimes it could be fard ayn on the people in that area or the people in the world. But the problem comes in ability. Does the person have the ability to go to Syria? Do you have the clarity of who you're fighting for, what you're defending? That's when it becomes complex and confusing. And oftentimes it's not that simple. Oftentimes it's not that simple. Everyone understand what I'm trying to say? So the rulings are clear. If the Muslims don't have the ability to defend themselves and their honor without foreign help, then it's fard ayn upon those who can. If you can't, different story. It is fard ayn, you can go, but things are extremely difficult to get there and unclear and confusing what's going on there. So that is going to be subjective from person to person. One man says, it's clear why I'm going to Syria. It's clear who I'm fighting for. It's clear what I'm defending and who I'm supporting. And you feel that it's fard ayn, and the Muslims in Syria don't have the ability to defend their honor and their property except with your help, then fard ayn. And if you don't feel that, even though you feel it's fard ayn, but it's unclear or it's extremely difficult, borderline impossible, suicidal to get there, then that is going to be your personal what? Discretion. Everyone understand the point I'm trying to get to? One person says, this is the test that Allah has put upon me. The border, these people, FBI, MI5, whatever it is. And another Muslim says, this is suicidal. The chances and the odds of you going from the UK to there to fight are what? Slim to none. The chances of you going there and fulfilling what you believe to be fard ayn are what? So it's going to differ from what? Person to person. Even though the ruling can be thabit. Can be what? Thabit. And there are many other issues like this in the world today as Muslims. All right, and Allah knows best. Next question from online says, sorry about the sound again, guys. Allah musta'an. BY from Birmingham, UK. Which Islamic history books would you recommend can be read in Arabic and English? It depends on the level of the learner. If you read in English, and alhamdulillah, Dar as-Salam has a very strong and long catalog of books on history and other publishing houses as well. If you read in Arabic, then that's a different story. That's a different story, all right? Allah knows best. Question says, KS London UK, may Allah bless you, Sheikh. Quick question out of curiosity. What are the wisdoms behind asking for initials and location in the Q&As? Jazakallah khairan. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. May Allah bless you as well. From the wisdoms, not all of them, from the wisdoms is that it allows us to have a more knitted community with regards to the disciples worldwide. And you feel it's not just me, or I'm not just a minority. There are people in other parts of the world, other lands, all being knitted and meshed together. And one of the objectives of Islam, one of the objectives of Sunnah, one of the objectives, inshallah, of HadithDisciple, our school of thought, our philosophy, is to mesh people together. Different ethnicities and nationalities, Black, Mexican, Pakistani, this, that, we want to mesh people together. And we want to try to get rid of some of the things that keep us what? Apart. Urban and suburban. And anyone who watches HadithDisciple videos, following this fact, you can clearly see that. You can see it's in the forest, in the snow, in the studio, in the street corner, with a kung fu suit on, a hoodie on, a Woolrich on, a this on, and it's a mindset behind that. It's to do what? Mesh together, bring together, and to cut down the borders, and to take the strengths of different cultures and to cancel out their weaknesses. So from that is the initials. You feel inspired and encouraged. You feel a part of some type of unity, brotherhood, sisterhood. People around the world with different concerns, different questions. Another wisdom is that it allows you to understand that you're not the only one. You may be suffering from something and from Houston, Texas. And you hear the same question coming from Singapore. You say, wow, someone in a whole different part of the world has the same issue as I have. So it's not just a Mexican problem. It's not just a black problem. It's not just a problem that Arabs have, but other people have those problems too. Everyone understand this? And there are other wisdoms as well. That's all we'll mention for now. One more, inshallah, Sheikh, from online because the sound was off. طيب. BC from Stockholm, Sweden. Can you rely solely on online comments on a narrator? For example, like in Taqrib with Tahdhib by Ibn Hajar. As a beginner, yes. You're starting off, you rely on that book, Taqrib with Tahdhib. As you grow stronger, you do more bahth, more research, you learn more about Ilm al-Hadith and Ilm al-Rijal. Then you know that Taqrib with Tahdhib is only a small pond from seas and oceans of Kutub al-Rijal, of Hafidh ibn Hajar himself, let alone other ulama of hadith. Hafidh ibn Hajar rahimahullah, he has bigger books on Rijal, such as Tahdhib al-Tahdhib, such as Mizan al-I'tidal, such as Ta'jil al-Manfa'a, such as Muqaddimat al-Fath, Hadi al-Sari, in which he talks about narrators of hadith with much more breadth. تقريب التهذيب مختصر ملخص صدوق يهم ثقة ثبت مقبول رمي بالقدر رمي بالإرجاع وهكذا. So تقريب التهذيب is a book that you start off with as a beginner. The more you walk into the waters, you realize that you do not rely upon تقريب التهذيب. Rather, you must eventually relinquish تقريب التهذيب and only use it for a summarized statement that you agree with. I've studied the other books. I read what Imam Ahmad, what Ibn Ma'in said. I read what Bukhari said about him, so on and so on and so forth. Hafidh ibn Hajar rahimahullah لخص الأقوال كلها بقوله صدوق يهم وأنا أوافقه على هذا الحكم وإلا فلا. والله تعالى أعلم. تفضل شيخ.
And I had it. One of those days. I gave it to him. No. Just like you said, you don't know what's going to happen. I didn't know I was going to my house. No, you know, and I cried when I went there. So I went there and I did it. So now, tell you. So brother actually, you very well, you get everything. You've been hard. He said, yes. He said, I've been trying to get that. He said, a lot like you.
No question. Allah makes it easy. When Allah wants to do something, He makes it easy. He lays the road for you. Allah created the reasons and the things that happen as a means of those reasons or a result of those reasons. No doubt about that. Allah is the one who created it, ordained it, mandated it, and He also made the steps accessible as well. And you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. No wise person would depend upon fate before. Nobody, Muslim or Kafir. No general on the battlefield would say, you know, we're really going to lose today. No general. He said, we're going to try our best. We're going to strive. We're going to strategize. We're going to fight. And if we lose, then what? He will submit to fate. He's cornered, he's outnumbered. He drops his weapon. And he says, I will die honorably because it's my fate. When he's in the prison, or if they're torturing him, he's not going to be crying and screaming and begging for help and saying he's not going to relinquish his honor in his country because he accepts his fate. But that was only after he was cornered and his other soldiers were killed. That's not before, and that's not what? During. And Allah knows best. Tight. The question states,
So I give him, I don't give him the key to go. He never.
no doubt, no doubt, no matter what money you have, there's no question about that. Allah inspires the servant. Allah guides the servant. Allah makes it easy for the servant. The key. And if Allah doesn't give you that, then there's no way you're going to go. And we've seen that. How many Muslims have money? How many Muslims says, I'm going to make Hajj, I'm going to do this, 5 years, 10 years, huh? They never make it. Questions from Toronto, Canada. Initials RD. Assalamu alaikum. What are the beginning steps for studying hadith? Books to start with, methods, tips. Wa alaikum salam. All of that is explained on the channel. We've explained many of the beginning books on the channel. Maybe we'll make some more workshops for that. Tayyib. Question comes from Initials AA from Amsterdam, Netherlands. Assalamu alaikum. Sheikh, what's the difference in the meaning between ghufranaka and astaghfirullah? Tayyib. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless the Muslims there in the Low Countries of Europe. Ghufranaka and astaghfirullah. Many scholars, they say, and obviously this question is a branch from the Quran, even though it's partially Quran, partially Hadith. Tayyib. Or even in the Quran as well, it's mentioned as well. Tayyib. Some scholars, they say, is that there are no synonyms in the Quran. ليس في القرآن المترادفات. If a word is used here, even though it has the same linguistical meaning, is a different meaning in the Quran. And other scholars, they say, for sure there's a secret behind Allah using this word and that word. There's a secret behind that. It's balagha. But oftentimes it's a similarity and diversity of the style. And you read the tafsir, many of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, they explain the different verses and words in the Quran with a synonym. There's no doubt about that. So therefore, ghufranaka, Allah, we ask for your ghufran. Versus wastaghfirullah, inna Allah ghafurur rahim, seek Allah's forgiveness. There is a subtle difference and there is a similarity. And the level, the intensity, the intention to continue to seek Allah's forgiveness versus what you have done. Seeking Allah's forgiveness for a shortcoming versus seeking Allah's forgiveness for a flaw. Human mistake versus just human shortcoming. There are subtleties for sure. There are what? There are subtleties of the balagha. And those are some of them. While Allah in certain verses mentions He is a tawwaba, wa tubu ilay, inni tubtu, I have made tawbah, all right? Wa ufawwidu amri ilallah. For sure, there are differences and there are subtleties behind the balagha of the Quran. With regards to a continuation, with regards to the intensity of the act, with regards to the mistake that was made, or the sin that was made, etc. And Allah knows best. We'll take one more question from online before we stop tonight.
You been, man?
Alhamdulillah. I've been here, Sheikh. I've been here. Last question says, from Initials JA from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Any books you recommend on the history of Islamic ruler and the fall of the Khalifa? Why certain countries abandon the Khalifa, etc. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Like we mentioned before about history, general books for laymen, for talib al-ilm. And there's some scholars who wrote books on rulings of the leader. Al-Ahkam al-Sultani, as an example. There were rulings on leadership, on Islamic government, of past and of present. In brief, the last thing I'll say is, you can learn a lot about the Khilafah and the fall of the Khilafah and the rise of the Khilafah from non-Muslims and non-Muslim history books. And that's because the establishment of a caliphate and the falling of a caliphate has direct importance on non-Muslims. There's no doubt about that. Who was in charge of the Muslims that had an impact on Rome, had an impact on Byzantium, had an impact on the Christians in Europe. No doubt about it. The Ayyubids, the Abbasids, the Fatimids, no doubt about that. Are they strong? Are they numerous? Are they peaceful? Do they want trade? Are they extravagant and luxurious? You look at Andalus, the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, Portugal. They needed to know who was in charge of the Muslims in North Africa, because it's nothing but a hop, skip, and jump in which they're in Spain. Hop, skip, and jump, and they're in Europe. So we need to know who's who. And that's why there were different delegations. They visited each other. They traded. They fought, etc., etc., etc. So the point is, you can learn a lot about the rise and the fall of the Islamic leadership, Islamic central government from the what? Non-Muslims, because that was important for them as well. That was what? No doubt about that. And we can understand this on a simple level, on a street level, street gang, a mafia, a family. We need to know who's the Don of the family. Not because we like them, but we need to know who our enemy is. Friends close, enemies closer. And Allah knows best. Sallallahu alaihi wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.
How you found Islam?